Sri Lanka huffed and they puffed, but they couldn't blow the Aussie house down. Welcome to the Shiny Side review of Sri Lanka versus Australia. We have with us once again, friend of the show, Umair Kazi. How are you doing, Umair?
Hi, Praise. Doing well. How are you?
Good, just getting completely bogged down with the World Cup. But to get things off, why don't you kick us off with the 33-second summary of today's game?
Right. So Sri Lanka batted first, started off really well. Both the openers, Nissanka and Pereira, got going, had a very good partnership. But then the key man who's been scoring in all the matches, Mendes, couldn't continue with the same tempo. And then, Sri Lanka doesn't have the batting depth and they just collapsed to 209, setting a low target to Australia. Marsh started off really well for Australia. They lost quick wickets, Warner and Smith, but then Labuschagne and Inglis just steadied the boat, and Maxwell just finished it in a hurry. Easy win for Australia there.
Yeah, that's pretty good. 33 seconds exactly, Umair. You're getting perfect at this. But to kick things off, right, if you go to the toss, Sri Lanka won the toss and batted. That was a bit unusual for this tournament because teams have preferred to chase. I think this being Lucknow and what we saw happen there last week probably played a factor where Australia struggled to chase against South Africa.
Yeah, I think that match was on their minds, right? South Africa put up a total, and then Australia struggled in the second innings, and that's what. And Sri Lanka thought their spinners might be able to tangle Australia, but it's not really that strong a spin attack. I mean, without Hasaranga, they're not.
I mean, it's kudos to them for continuing with the number of players they keep losing. Right, it's insane actually.
Yeah, I know they've lost their captain now for the whole tournament as well.
Yeah, Australia went in unchanged, and we weren't really expecting much change. That was as expected. I think if you look at, I guess the game first half, it was a bit bizarre because obviously it was a game of two halves where Sri Lanka were 125 for one and 157 for one actually before they collapsed to even not as bad as our collapse, but like a pretty bad collapse otherwise, right?
Yeah, and similar.
Yeah, similar. And I guess if you look at the Aussie bowling, right, they all seem to have first spells where they didn't do well, but they all came back really well. And I think the most encouraging thing for Australia would be Zampa, right? Because you've been talking about how they have a one frontline spinner not doing so well, but I thought he came back. We saw the googly, we saw the flipper, we saw the leg break. He was giving some decent flight, and he got a 4-4 in the end.
Yes. So, even though he picked up 4 wickets, he really got thrashed around in his first spell. Nissanka really got after him. Pereira really got after him. But, this is this has been a theme in this World Cup. A lot of teams, even those who scored 300 plus, besides South Africa in Delhi, where they ended up with 428, no team has finished off their first innings well. Even England, who got 364 against Afghanistan, it was, I think. No, sorry, Afghanistan, they lost. They got 364 against Bangladesh. Yeah. And they were 300 after 40 overs, right? So that was a bad finish. Even Sri Lanka against Pakistan, they got 344, but they were 220 after 30 overs with 9 wickets in hand. So all through the tournament, we've been seeing this.
And possibly it's a conditions thing possibly, right? The ball may not be coming onto the bat as it gets older.
Yeah. So as the pitch wears on, I think the spinners have a greater impact, and even the seamers, the ball doesn't come on as quickly as.
I thought Cummins was pretty good. He came back again. First spell he was already. Second spell he came on. He got both the wickets, and he looked pretty pumped after getting the second one with a couple of good catches. I think and for Australia, their fielding was significantly better. They took some really good catches, especially Warner took a couple.
Warner especially. Yeah, they were charged up today.
Yeah, but they were up for a fight, and for a while it looked like they'd be chasing 300 plus. But once they came back, I mean, there was a rain break in the end. But Sri Lanka, like you said, right, they didn't really have the middle order to do it. And this is the first time Sri Lanka has not had scored anything under 330 in this tournament, but they were, again, significantly under with 220. And, once Australia's innings started, Madhushanka was quite good. He got a double wicket maiden. He got Warner and Smith. And there was a while where I think Labuschagne was given out, but that was again overturned. But I guess post that point, I think Marsh really took over. And that's the thing, right? It's such a low score that one good partnership effectively kills the chase, which is what Marsh did, I think.
Exactly. I mean, Marsh really attacked the bowlers at the start. And then Labuschagne just, steadied the ship, and Inglis came out playing his strokes. And Maxwell, we're finally seeing the big show come into his own again. Might be the start of something special.
A lot of positives for Australia, right? So, this is Zampa's 10th 4-wicket haul in ODIs, and only Shane Warne has 14. So he's 4 behind Shane Warne with significantly less games to go.
Wow.
Average is 27 and a pretty big sample size. So, I mean, he's doing something right.
Very impressive.
Yeah,
true.
But yeah, so I guess if you look at, I mean, we know what's coming up next for Australia. Um it affects us quite
It's
closely.
us.
It's us, yes, on Friday. It's at, I'm just putting out the fixture. So it's at Bengaluru. I don't believe we've seen any games at Bengaluru just yet.
So I don't think there have been any yet. This will be our first. I don't know if there's any other game at Bengaluru before this Pakistan-Australia game. But from what I've heard about the ground, I've heard it is even a bigger belter than Delhi.
I mean,
even
that's
smaller
where
boundaries.
obviously it's
And
RCB's home ground in the IPL, right? And that's what it's known for. Like the bowlers always struggling.
yeah, there you go. Exactly. So good batting wicket, smaller boundaries, and so we might just be in for a high-scoring
So
game.
if Australia, from Australia's point of view, if they can beat us and then they can beat the Netherlands, they can suddenly be looking at 2 out of 2 wins, and then Pakistan and England both struggling, they probably have a decent shot of making it, right? Because then they need 3 in the next 4, and they need 2 in the next 4 to kind of be in, and 3 in the next 4 to guarantee the spot, right? And there's also an Afghanistan game in there, so I feel like
I mean, there's so many matches. There's so many matches. Anything
it's
can happen.
almost too early to even
But
think about the points
I
table
feel
right now.
Australia along with England, Australia and England will, I feel, keep struggling in this tournament. Nowhere near the best. These conditions don't suit them. I don't see them bouncing back.
And there's never been a World Cup where England and Australia both have not made it to the semi-finals, but this could be the first one.
No, 2011.
Did they not make it?
2011 semi-finals.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
Pakistan, India.
Yeah, true.
The other one was Sri Lanka,
South Africa, and Sri Lanka, I believe. No, sorry, New Zealand and Sri Lanka. New Zealand, Sri Lanka. South Africa lost in the quarter, but you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I'm sure there's some other no, not 92.
Because England would
think. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they've always been there.
2011.
Yeah.
Okay, one of them. Australia has always been there.
Yeah, and to be honest, in the earlier, like in the first 5 World Cups, England played like 3 finals, right? So I mean, they were always also there and thereabouts before they had a falling.
I think 2011 is the only one.
Yeah, but moving on to tomorrow's game, the big grudge match coming up, South Africa trying to avenge their defeat from last year. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, South Africa were playing Netherlands in the T20 World Cup, a game which Netherlands had to win for us to have a chance, and the Netherlands obliged. South Africa lost that game, and they were knocked out. So that game is tomorrow. And how are you looking at that, Umair?
Yeah, a lot of Pakistanis who were there in Australia say that was the best game of the tournament to watch in the ground.
I'm sure.
It was quite. I remember being up at 4 a.m. to watch Netherlands South Africa. Not many people woke up for that game, and at 7 a.m. when it was looking like Netherlands about to win, I was messaging people, and people were waking up and like, "Oh my God, we can't believe this is happening." It was quite amazing. But yeah, I don't see another upset coming. South Africa is looking very strong. Again, no pressure game for them. It's ODI cricket. It's not 20 overs, so I think crushing win coming up for South Africa tomorrow.
Yeah. I am just going to pull up the what I think is the likely 11 for South Africa. So again, right, we've spoken about this a couple of times. South Africa have either a spin-heavy option or a pace-heavy. I imagine they'll keep the 2 spinners because Netherlands might struggle against them. So they'll keep both Maharaja and Shamsi in the 11. Do you have a different view on this?
No, I think they will most likely go with this. And I think this gives a better balance to them as well. 4 paces, you don't really need in India, and Shamsi is a very, very good bowler. So
I mean, I think the mystery spinner may trouble the touch.
Yeah, true.
Before we move on to the quiz, Umair, we haven't had you on the show since Pakistan lost to India. So maybe a quick thought on maybe on that game, but more about how that affects our campaign going forward.
Look, we talked about the fact that this wasn't a crunch game in the larger picture for Pakistan, right? It wasn't a must-win game. There are another 6 matches to go, and Pakistan had relatively easier games early on. But look, it was a crushing defeat. Definitely something that puts your morale down. But also a good reality check for the boys to bounce back and come back stronger. I don't think anyone expected Pakistan to beat India, given it's in India and how strong India is. Definitely India were the favorites going in. However, what was disheartening was the fact that we were at 155 for 2. And, we've all the 7 matches in previous World Cups that we've lost have been very one-sided. This one looked like Pakistan were putting up a fight. And then all of a sudden, in 10 minutes, it just turned on its head. Good captaincy from Rohit, some good delivery, some bad shots from Pakistan, a mixture of a lot of things. and we just collapsed, losing 8 wickets for 30 odd, and that was what was disheartening. But look, I think Pakistan will bounce back. They are looking better than most other teams around, and I don't think they will lose many more games. And they'll come back stronger after this.
Good stuff. So I guess it looks and leads nicely to Friday, where we play Australia, which is the big game. So we have 2 games in 4 days, right? So we play Australia in Bengaluru on Friday, and then on Monday we're playing Afghanistan in Chennai. And by then, Afghanistan would have been in Chennai for 6 days because they are playing New Zealand there this Wednesday or Thursday as well.
Yeah.
So Afghanistan would be familiar with Chennai, and they'll be waiting for us. So that could. So again, first Friday. Let's win Friday, and then we take it from there. Before we move on,
Chennai is a good ground for us. We have a good record in Chennai.
Yeah, true. I mean, also I think the next game we saw in Chennai, it didn't spin as much as it did in the India-Australia game, right? So I forget which game it was.
It was a different pitch.
Yeah,
it was a different pitch.
But not the extreme one like India-Australia. Before we move on, we'll quickly have a little quiz. And the quiz question is not linked to Instagram this time around. The question will pop up on your screen. Australia beat Sri Lanka in the last World Cup by 87 runs. Which Australian top scored with 153? I was going to put choices up, but I figured it might become too straightforward, so I didn't.
I think David Warner.
You're close, but you're wrong. It's
Finch?
Aaron Finch. I think the hint there was the 132 ball suggests it has to be somebody who either opens the batting or comes right down, right? But yeah, it was Aaron Finch. I mean, I forget Aaron Finch was actually having a really good World Cup in that. I think he also scored 100 against England in the opening game, if I remember correctly, when I was looking at the numbers.
Yeah, I think, yeah, probably did.
And he was captain at that time.
He was, yeah.
Okay, good stuff, Umair. Thank you for being on the show once again.
Thank you for having me, Faris.
And for those of you who like our videos, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned to the shiny side.